Hey guys, welcome to another draft of my Goldless Cube. So here we are in pack 1. This pack has a Sulfuric Vortex, which is still one of the most powerful cards in Red Deck Wins. It also has Hellrider, which is similar in that way. There's not much to pull me in a different particular direction, but there are a lot of strong blue cards in this pack. Tamiyo, Control Magic, Gear Hulk, Titan. I think Brainstorm is actually the safest, most open pick, so I'm going to go with that, even though Vortex is a much more powerful card in a specific deck archetype. So, Verdant Catacombs, Flame Tongue Kavu, Banishing Light. Oh, I missed the miscalculation, yeah. That's a pretty clear pick here, since it goes in nearly any blue deck I might play, and it matches well with our first pick, so. Okay, Flooded Strand, Prairie Stream, Charted Course, Mana Leak, Incinerate Warboss, Glorybringer, Stormbreath. Okay, this is a pretty stacked pack, especially if we want to move into Izzet. That said, I think that Flooded Strand is again the best pickup here because it's non-committal and gives us time to figure out what we want to do instead of forcing us into a lane or just being a dead card later on. So, pretty happy to pick up Flooded Strand there. Fetches and other duels are pretty high on my priority list. Okay, Inquisition, Fertile Ground, Jace, Angel of Sanctions. I kind of like Inquisition. Yeah, I'm going to take Inquisition here. It's a good enough card to potentially move into blue-black. Overall, it's hyper efficient and allows for proactive disruption, which is great in both control and tempo. That's why I chose that. Angel of Sanctions is also a very good blue-white control deck card. Jace is obviously very reasonable and doesn't make us commit to another color, but I think that Inquisition is strong enough to move into a second. This pack is great. Scalding Tarn, Fire Diamond, Dismiss, Gideon, Tezzeret, Kenrith. We aren't committed to blue-black, so Gideon is a fairly reasonable pickup. Tezzeret is a card I'd consider highly here too. Proactive blue planeswalker that can finish the game. I don't know if that's better on average than Kenrith, but I think the pick is actually Fire Diamond. And we can just move into control from there. The two CMC mana rocks are just bombs for control. That's a very late exhume, but I don't really want to move into Reanimator, so I'm not going to take it. There's an Odd Mixilus, Inferno Titan, and Charcoal Diamond that all seem reasonable here, but I'm going to take this Diamond. As I just mentioned, they're very powerful, they're very scarce in the cube, but what they do for control decks in terms of speed, especially against aggro, is very important. So picking them up is always nice. Okay, this is kind of a hard pack. So we have a Johnny Goldmane, Knight Incarnate, and Batterskull. They're all pretty reasonable. Grim Lavamancer to a lesser extent if we wanted to go into Grixis or some other Izzet X deck. Batterskull is one of the better finishers in a control deck. Johnny lends a lot of flexibility, but it's white, and we don't really have any white cards to pull us that way yet. We have no Wrath effects though, and I think that Knight Incarnate is a reasonable one. So we can take that. That's going to help us shore up our aggro matches. Okay, so not much in this pack. Sweltering Suns and Censor. Suns let's move into Grixis, but Censor is much less committal and kind of just goes into our deck. Yeah, I mean, Sweltering Suns being red is fairly hard. Even though we have the Fire Diamond, we're still in pack 1. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to pick up red sweepers if we want to. And I think that Sweltering Suns being red is a big detraction from its draw. Okay, so Sword of Temptation, Frost Titan, and Ruinous Path. I think that Frost Titan is one of the weaker finishers, so I'm going to go with Ruinous Path. Yeah, at this point we look pretty solidly blue-black, but this is only pack 1, so there's a lot of potential to move around. Ruinous Path basically kills any major threat, so it's for 3 mana, which is pretty good. It's virtually Vindicate in a lot of positions, just because most of the threats in the cube are either creatures or planeswalkers. Banishing Light, pretty much the same deal, right? Kills virtually anything, but has a little bit more range in killing enchantments and other things like Sulfuric Vortex, or can't think of another good one at the moment, but it does well in those areas. So we could move into Esper and splash the Banishing Light and be okay, especially if we wield the Prairie Stream that we saw earlier on. Looks like we did, and I don't think that Chart a Course is strong enough to take us away from that, so I think that Prairie Stream is pretty decent. This is a pretty clear Vraska's Contempt here. I don't think that we're on Mesmeric Fiend in this deck. Vraska's Contempt is just another downfall, and we can use that to our advantage. Alright, so Tezzeret and Will Kenrith. I think that both are very powerful, but I think that Will Kenrith is a little bit better against aggro and midrange, so I'm just going to take that. Yeah, I don't think that this deck is going to particularly struggle against control. Easy Looter, like we're probably not running it, but whatever. And the wrong Johnny wield, but we could potentially board that in against control. The ult is a way to win the game in that matchup. Okay, so Swords, Marble Diamond, Disenchant, Jace, Muldrifter. I think that Swords is the pick here. It's just we don't have any really efficient removal like that yet, and I think it's a good pickup. Opt and Negate, pretty much the only things we're interested in here. I think the Opt is the more important card to our strategy, but I think it's also more likely to wheel, so I'm going to take this Negate. Okay, Spiral Owl, Martial Coup. I'm going to take the Owl here, I think. It's good to fix your stuff. Oh, Sneaky Fumigate, yeah. That's just much better than Martial Coup is. Yeah, 5 mana kill, everything is great. Spiral Owl is good though, so maybe we'll see that on the wheel. Gideon, Sky Diamond, Anticipate, Emrakul are all kind of standout cards. I really, really like Gideon, but I think that the correct pick is probably Sky Diamond. I'm just kind of adjusting some stuff down there. Yeah, it's Sky Diamond here, which is fine. I think that we're pretty solidly out of blue-black, maybe. I'll rephrase that. We're not solidly out of blue-black, but I think we can tentatively kind of look at ourselves as a blue-white deck and be pretty successful. Alright, so Misty Rainforest, Gideon Jura. There's also Dungeon Geist, but I pretty much only like that in tempo. So I think the Gideon Jura is the pick here. Just a really powerful 5-drop. Great finisher. Yeah, not much else to say there. It's just a really good card. Marsh Flats would allow us to play Esper. There's also a Jace and a Humility here. Mutavault and Brimaz are kind of fine-ish as like 23rd cards, but I think I want to lean toward Humility. We don't really have any creatures in our deck, and it's one of the more powerful anti-creature cards that you can find. So we probably can give up on the Esper Dream now, since we're probably not going to get that flats back, and I think fixing is going to be somewhat challenging to get, especially with all this white that we have in the past like 3 picks. This is a pretty easy fortress for me. I mean, Stone is reasonable, as is Ash Barrens, but um, you know, I really like casting my cards, and I don't think that there's enough to really pull us into Esper at this point to make it to where my blue-white fixing is less important. So, well, Underground River means that the Esper Dream isn't really over. There's also Impulses, Clutches, and Arid Mesa. Um, I'm just kind of thinking about the things that could draw me into Esper, and I don't really think there's enough. So, yeah, I'm going to take this Impulse Clutches. It's just, it's removal that opts as a win con. Sign me up. That's just great. Wow, the diamond wield. People are really low on those just because you know they're not signets. But I think that Jace is the pick here. We already have 3 diamonds, and Jace protects himself and draws cards. There's not much else to ask for. Notably, there was also a disenchant in that pack, but I'm just not that high on that card, especially when we have a banishing light and potentially um, other permanent removal effects like that since we're in white. So and just as we drew it up, we wheeled the opt. So that's pretty easy. I'm really liking how the game plan of this deck is fleshing out. We have a lot of early game. You know, we can be proactive with mana rocks, and then we have good low to the ground removal, and some reasonable planeswalkers. Nothing in the way of like an absolute bomb for finishers or anything, but reasonable ways to kind of close out the game, mostly with Gideon Jura at this point. Alright, so we have the same decision we were faced with before, Spiral versus Martial Coup, and I think it's Spiral. Even though it's not really a great way to quote-unquote close out the game, as I just mentioned, it's a great way to help your early game. And I think the aggro is our hardest matchup, so I'm going to worry less about beating mid-range and control, because I think that might happen naturally. Alright, Emrakul is pretty good. It's a reasonable finisher, and it notably circumvents Humility with its ability. Inkwell, sure, whatever. But yeah, Emrakul being a cast trigger means that it gets around Humility's static effect, which is pretty big because you get to take your opponent's extra turn and then make them do something stupid, and then they get to take a turn, but it doesn't really matter as much. So yeah, that's a pretty easy pickup for me here. Brushland, sure. There's a world in which we end up Bant, I guess. Alright, yeah, sure, Decimator. Obviously not getting played, but it's a card. We're heading into pack 3 with 18 playables and 4 pieces of fixing. Sorry, 3 pieces of fixing. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this. We could use another finisher, so that's something we need to be on the lookout for. And that's kind of it. I mean, the deck is pretty solid, so we just want, you know, to fill out our curve with card draw and more removal. So maybe some more counter spells. Alright, Preordain, Oath of Jace, Glimmer of Genius, Mere Battlesphere. So Mere Battlesphere is a finisher. It's and a pretty reasonable one. Wins the game pretty fast, but I think that preordain is a pick here. I'd rather have really consistent early game and then figure out how we're going to win the game later. Because right now we even have Emrakul, so I think that there's a lot of potential just to win between the Emrakul and the Gideon. We don't need a ton, but I would like one more, but I think we can pick that up later in the pack. Okay, Steam Vents, Condescend, Go for the Throat, Sage Owl, Restoration Angel. Okay, I don't think the Restoration Angel is super powerful in this deck. I think it's fine because it's a fine body on its own, but I think that Steam Vents is pretty decent here. In that there's a lot of decent red in that pack. That particular pack. So if we find any more red, it's a fine pickup. If not, it's a card in our sideboard. At this point, we're pretty high on playables as well, so I don't think we're not going to get there. I think that Sage Owl was probably the next best pick, and Go for the Throat was really tempting, but going into Esper is just not wise at this point. Just because I think that 2 mana remove a creature at instant speed is very good. But yeah, I don't think that Go for the Throat is worth it in the end. So, alright, so Sleight of Hand, Jace, Vendilion Click. I think Gold Medal Harrier is also okay. These 2 red cards are fine. But I think that Jace is a pick. Click is amazing, but I think that we were talking about win cons. Jace's ult is kind of a win condition. It's unlikely to happen, probably less likely to happen than beating someone down with a Vendilion Click. But I'm potentially over-considering the way that creatures interact with Humility in my deck. But I think it's an important interaction to be aware of. Just because that makes Click not only a worse top deck, which is one of its stronger suits, but it also makes it to where Click is a 1/1, which is a 20-turn clock, which is significantly slower than Jace's clock. So, okay, City Brass, Urborg, Delay, Shimmer of Possibilities, Compulsive Research, Thirst for Knowledge. I'm not that high on Thirst. I think Compulsive Research is probably the best of those options. I think Shimmer of Possibility is very good. Sorcerer Speed Impulse is notably fine, but I think that just mass card draw here is actually going to be pretty effective because you do like having a decent amount of cards in your hand as tap out or as draw go control, and you can kind of bluff a little bit better if you have more cards, which is nice. Oh, I do want to note in that last pack there was a Jeté there, not in this past one with the research, but with the Vendilion Click pack. I don't think it's that good in a creatureless deck. This is a pretty clear O-ring. We don't have anything really to crew the Aether Shear Harvester at this point. Venser is pretty weak, and Elishnorn is a card that's fine, but kind of just dies to removal. It's pretty medium. I'd rather have removal myself. If I'm paying 7 for a threat, I want it to at least do something. Which I guess Elishnorn kind of does, right? She clears small creatures, but by turn 7, if I haven't cleared those small creatures, I'm just dead. So, it just seems not that great in a lot of situations. Okay, Elspeth is just a slam dunk here. There's just no competition. Consul's Judgment is obviously just a better O-ring, but Elspeth is just amazing. She wins the game almost always, and her -3 is Wrath number 2, which we've been looking for. Obviously, her ult just wins the game. So I'm feeling like that's the right pick for sure. Alright, Hallowed Fountain and Quench. I think Hallowed Fountain is the pick here. Quench is decent, but casting my spells is even more decent. So, you know, we do have a lot of white or blue cards, and we want to make sure we can cast those. So, okay, so Force Spike or Pact of Negation, really. Those are kind of the options. Myth Realize is fine. I think that Force Spike is really powerful. It's very good in the early game, and it's underrated in the late game. People often tap out to cast a 5 or 6 drop, and then you can just get them. So I think that Force Spike is a reasonable pickup. 24 main board cards. We can probably run 16 lands in this deck. We have excellent fixing. We have what? Hallowed Fountain, Flooded Strand, Prairie Stream, and Glacial Fortress. So we're doing pretty well on fixing. And we have 3 diamonds, so that's like playing another land. Both the Jace is fine out of that pack. I'm not super excited about it. It might make the main board, but probably not. It's just not that exciting. I think the Compulsive Research is just significantly better, even though we have a lot of Planeswalkers in this deck. By the time we have a lot of Planeswalkers in play, I feel like it's just not helping me too much, maybe. That's probably wrong, but whatever. I'm going to take the Sage Owl. That's an easy pickup, and it's going to be an easy main board inclusion, I think. Just being able to reorganize cards is really powerful. And making a blocker out of it. It's pretty good. Like Vendilion Clique, there are worse top decks with Humility, but at the point at which I'm playing a 1/1 after Humility, I'm just trying to block. Like in a deck with this many ways of winning the game. Mana Confluence is tempting, but I think actually Harrier is the correct pick here. It helps me stop Reanimator decks, and is reasonable against my range as well. And since we took the Inkwell Leviathan, there are no Shroud or Hexproof reanimation targets. Is that true? I think that's true. Okay, so Shimmer Possibility or Delay. I'll take Delay. It's a more flexible card in terms of its uses. It can stop combo, it can slow down my opponent while I dig for an answer. Where Shimmer Possibility is a good card, but I think we have plenty of card draw, so it's pretty replaceable. Elish is easy. It's a fine pickup. It's not amazing, but it's serviceable. Brightling is great. Helps us fight aggro, and Knight is kind of whatever. Okay, so we're at 26 cards. I'd like to make 2 cuts here. So yeah, Oath of Jace is the immediate cut, I think, and maybe Emrakul. Yeah, I mean, this looks fine. Elspeth is pretty much our only win condition, along with Imbolus' Clutches, and Gideon Jura. But I think that's ultimately fine. I think we have so much control in this deck that we're going to be able to outlast most of our opponents and get there. So, alright, let's head into the matches. Alright, looks like we lost the die roll. That's okay. So let's see what our hand looks like. This is pretty good. A little awkward because we have a tap land and then opt and things. Oh, our opponent gave us the play. Okay. But it's still reasonable because we can go turn 2 Fire Diamond, and from there we have a pretty early Will Kenrith. Our opponent's also on blue. Not expecting a daze here, so they could be on control as well. If they are, I'm very confident in our deck. Anticipate. It does look like something slower, but it could be tempo as well. That just had like kind of a three mana creature hand or something like that. Elspeth, alright, another great 6-drop for us. I think we'll just pass with Opt Up. Okay, a swamp, so he's at least on blue-black, to our knowledge. Could be in more colors, but as of now, we know he's in Dimir at a minimum. We want to put that on the bottom. Drew another land anyway, so ultimately a good choice. Another O-ring effect, alright. Next turn, if nothing is happening, I think we just jam Will Kenrith. Oh, especially since he's going to play something. Now there's less of a chance that he has interaction at 1 mana. So yeah, I'm pretty happy to play Will Kenrith. He could have like Spell Pierce, I guess, if he draws a land here. Yeah, like Spell Pierce, Daze, that's kind of it. My opponent's pretty deep in the tank on this, so I don't know what he's trying to do. It seems like he's stuck on land. Alright, Fencer, bounce my will. Okay, sure. Yeah, that's just not particularly worrisome. Play another land. We could have like gone Brainstorm, Will Kenrith, but that's kind of risky because if you don't hit a blue source, then it doesn't happen. So, so yeah, I went with the route that doesn't not let me cast Will Kenrith that turn, which would have been unfortunate. I mean, I guess I could have just cast Elspeth instead at that point, but like next turn we're going to get to minus Will Kenrith, draw 2 cards, play Elspeth, and then something else, which is pretty big. 5 mana. Tamiyo. Alright. Okay, can't untap my Fire Diamond next turn. Sure. Yeah, I'm just going to play Elspeth and then probably this Sky Diamond. We could have alternatively just held up Brainstorm and Force Spike, but since we're so low on blue sources, I wanted to do that to avoid getting mana screwed by Tamiyo. This does leave us vulnerable to like a Thundermaw Hellkite or something like that, but I think it's a proactive play that gives us a good chance of winning this. So Sarkhan, okay. Alright, so what kind of dies? I'll just jump here. Don't actually really care to trade for the Venser right now, so my opponent forgot to uptick his Tamiyo, which is nice. We could play Humility. I think it's better to just O-ring the Sarkhan. And then I think I can just Banishing Light the Tamiyo and leave up Brainstorm Force Spike, which is pretty decent. Alright, so now swing for 1 after upticking Elspeth. I think now we've just taken over the game, but we'll see. It is possible to not win from here, of course, but alright, paying 5 mana for Shriekmaw. I'll counter that. Now I think I can trade with the Venser and just block the Seagate Oracle. The reason I'm doing that is because I'd rather, bring her closer to ulting. And I'll cast Brainstorm. Okay, so Censor, Island. I'll put the islands back on top. And then we'll play Jace next turn, scry the other island away. So my opponent is going to want to play something bigger here. Though I don't really know what they can have to get them out of this situation. I mean, like Nev's Disc, I guess, to blow up all my enchantments and artifacts. Wouldn't kill my planeswalkers, but would give them back Sarkhan and Tamiyo. We drew a Gideon Jorah off of Jace, by the way, which is, well, a rather top-notch card, to put it lightly, I guess. Alright, Young Pyromancer, okay. Yeah, I can't really censor that, so Yeah, let's uptick Jace first. Spire Owl, I don't really need that right now. Swords of Plowshares is a great draw. Alright, so my opponent said that he can scoop. Alright, I think we won that game anyway. We had 12 flying damage. We ulted Elspeth. So, yeah. Anyway, out of our sideboard, I don't really think we need anything for this matchup. Like, delay could be interesting, I guess. Like, it would help shore up some parts of the matchup. Elishnorn would be powerful, but is fairly slow. Yeah, this is pretty far from keepable. So I'm going to see if my opponent is doing London or Vancouver mulligans, and then we'll make our choice. He already played his land. So, yeah, like we obviously can't keep this, but I do want to know if the mulligan function is London or Vancouver so that I can just mulligan and then see what I'm doing. Alright, well, I think I'm just going to assume that it's Vancouver and go from there. Sure. Missing blue sources, but also missing blue things to cast, so who cares? We don't want that negate since we don't have any blue sources. So, and another plains. Opt. Alright, well, we won't be opting anytime soon. Okay, Young Pyromancer. I'm just going to kill that. Yeah. Gideon Jura. Alright, well, I mean, I guess that's something that we can get to, which is nice. Glenalendra. That's pretty annoying. Alright, so I'm going to Oblivion Ring that. Alright. It's kind of annoying because he's able to leave the counterspell up with Glenalendra, so this is fairly powerful. I think we just go. We could go Spiral / Sage Owl plus O-Ring. Get the O-Ring countered. I think I just want to Fumigate though. I'm not worried about the Venser, and yeah. So really, the thing that's frustrating is the persist on the Glenalendra. 1, 2, 3. Sure. Pardon me. Nothing for my opponent. I mean, they Don't really need to do anything there ahead. Okay, island. We can go spiral. Okay. We want brainstorm on top. We want like that. Yeah, that's good. And then I'll just cast O-ring, targeting, well, not to target till it enters. So, yep, gets countered. Ugh, Tameo. Alright. That is pretty good. Taps down an island. Sure. Now I can't do my brainstorm hold up force spike play that I wanted to do last turn, so that's unfortunate. I'm pretty sure there's a land in the top 3 though, so if I go brainstorm, I can go. So we can either put Gideon and something on top, or we can put Force Spike and Sage Owl. So I think I want to do that. I want to put the Force Spike and the Sage Owl on top like that, and then I want to play Gideon. Alright, so in my brainstorm, I accidentally drew an extra card. I meant to put back the Force Spike. I think this may have impacted the outcome of this game, which is highly unfortunate. But overall, I think that we win the match. And I think that the gameplay is still pretty valuable. So I apologize. I try to mitigate the amount of mistakes and things like this that appear in my videos and that I make, of course. But every once in a while, you do accidentally draw an extra card. So again, I apologize, and I hope that you guys enjoy the gameplay anyway. And we'll just uptick to 8 in case he's got some sort of bolt type effect or whatever. Alright, so Glimmer of Genius is fine here. Land. This time they remember to uptick on Gideon. Sure. He goes to 4. I think next turn, I mean, he goes to 6, sorry. I was thinking ahead. Next turn he goes to 4 to kill the Venser. So, but we can play this Sage Owl and then have a couple blockers up for a Sarkhan or whatever. Since we did see a Sarkhan last game, I do want to have answers for something like that. Sage Owl, look at the top 3. There's top 4 rather, sorry. Okay, humility, compulsive research. Yeah, that's fine. There's a Sarkhan that we thought he might have, which is great because then we can embolus his clutches the Tameo. easy chump, and then yeah, we steal the Tameo, tap down his Sarkhan forever. We should be able to win from there. Alright, so I'll take our Gideon. I'm going to leave this the Spire Owl up as a blocker. I'm trying to remember the differences in these things' names. Alright, telling time, sure. That's tapped. Yeah. Alright, so never return on the Tameo. That is fine. Because we can just eat the Sarkhan with our Gideon. Which is pretty excellent, really. Alright, so we attack, and then we'll probably compulsive research here. Alright, sweet, we hit a land. I didn't know if we were going to. We only knew the cards through Censor, but that works, so. Anticipate, sure. I'm gonna wheel the cycle the Censor. It's just not particularly useful. Draw a Charcoal Diamond, Jace. That's a pretty big game. Swing for 6. Go for the throw. It has indestructible, right? Oh, no, it has prevent all damage. That's unfortunate. Okay. So I guess we just played Jace. Jace Bellerin, sure. Take that. I think we play the Charcoal Diamond and then hold up Force Spike is better. Gives us more mana to work with next turn as well. And Jace Bellerin draw like one more card this turn is not particularly amazing, so. Batterskull, sure. So we'll just bounce the Batterskull token. That's a -2, not a -3. So, yeah, bounce the Germ token. Play Jace. Drop it to 2 counters, draw a card. Well, Kenrith, 1, 2, 3, 6. You could play Will Kenrith here, but I think it's better to not do so. Shriekmaw. Okay, sure. Elspeth is pretty good. So I think I want to go Will, draw 2. Actually, no. Let's see what we get with the Jaces first. So we'll start with Jace Bellerin. So we'll uptick Jace. So each of us draws a card. Drew a land. Alright, so now let's uptick Jace. Other Jace. We don't really need that. Didn't really need that either. So I think we just minus Will Kenrith. We do need to find something here to deal with the Batterskull or the Shriekmaw. Alright, Preordain. I'll cast Preordain, sure, why not? Move both of those to the bottom. Vanishing Light. Okay. So let's Banishing Light the Batterskull, actually. And then we'll lose like a Planeswalker here, probably Will Kenrith. Miscalc is good. Let's go ahead and play planes here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Melody. So obviously we don't want Jace to flip. That would probably win my opponent the game. And I think that we can outrun these tokens with just Elspeth. So So my opponent's thinking. Alright, so I'm going to play this miscalc. Actually, well, I already cast it, but I don't think I needed to. I think we could just paid 2 mana and then been fine. Like, the scry doesn't matter that much. Elspeth. Make some tokens. Let's bounce Seagate, Oracle, or Jace. It doesn't really matter. And then we'll force my opponent to draw a card. The Garden Hellkite is a 1/1. And my opponent concedes. So, alright, headed into round 2. This hand looks great, and we're on the play. Kind of just want to lead on fetch, and then probably either way, if we're against something aggro, we fetch for a Hallowed Fountain. If we're against something non-aggro, we still fetch for a Hallowed Fountain, and we just put it into play tapped. We don't really need to opt, or pardon me, or preordain on turn 1, so we can kind of have a little bit of flexibility with that. And if we wanted to, we could, fetch for a Hallowed Fountain untapped and play opt on his turn, but it's just not really necessary, in my opinion. So, Sky Diamond. Sky Diamond on 2 is a pretty good play. Alright, preordain. And then we can compulsive research right after that. Sure, we'll take the Elspeth. Move that one to the bottom. Maybe we kind of just want it so we can discard something. Sure. 1, 2, 3. Compulsive. Alright, so we'll discard up lanes and pass. We've got next turn Fumigate if we want it, and then alright, so Rampaging Frost, sure. Just play Jace Beleren, hold up Miscalculation. And then if we don't use the miscalc, we can always opt. No, I don't really want to Spiral here. Maybe next turn, but not right now. Searing Spear. Alright, target Jace. Sure. We'll cast Opt. We don't really need that. We'll go Spiral, sure. Take a damage. We'll go to the top 4. Ugh, that's pretty gross. I guess we want that sensor. That's kind of it. Yeah. So we're gonna probably want to fumigate soon, just for the sake of buying us some time, since our next few draws are kind of wasteful. And if we can jam Elspeth, we're in a pretty good position. So nothing from my opponent, right? Did I just cycle miscalc? No. It's a consideration, but I know I can cycle this sensor, which is maybe a little bit better. I'm going to attack first. Getcha. And then we'll go fumigate. And we can hold up miscalc / sensor. And I gain 2 life, which is great. So yeah, we can hold up sensor or miscalc, whichever. And then next turn we can play Elspeth and cycle either of those. So I like miscalc here, since sensor's easier to cycle, and then maybe we find something else. I think we're still on land stuff for the next few turns, right? Pretty sure that's how this is working. So maybe it's better to just play the sensor there and then miscalc the next play. Glorybringer. Yeah, that's getting censored. No run nothing, but we're going to be able to create a pretty fast clock here, which is great. That's what Elspeth is just amazing at, is killing your opponents quickly, dealing with their large threats. Combustible Gear Hulk. I'll let my opponent flip here. I don't think that drawing cards is really good for us, since we're behind on cards anyway. So yeah, go ahead and flip those cards. Five, 8. Ow. That hurt. It's not what I was expecting. I was hoping like land, creature, and then I take 2. That would have been nice. But alas, that's not what happened. You gotta just swing with 6. Right? Maybe just 3, so that if he has... Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, because we can just win next turn anyway if he's got no flyers. We swing in for a fair amount. What is that? 6 times 3, 18. Sorry, 8 times 3, which is 24, yeah. So yeah, now it's 18 damage that is not blockable. So, yeah, that should do it. Alright, into game 2. Alright, so out of the board, probably want Brightling. And that's pretty much it. We don't really have a lot of other good counterplays unless we splash black, which I don't think actually improves our matchup since we then have to dilute our fixing. So I think that just Brightling comes in and we can take out Jace, Unravel of Secrets. It's pretty slow, and the interaction is okay. So it's just not fast enough Planeswalker, in my opinion, in terms of what it does. Alright, my opponent chose to play this time, which is different from last time. He's keeping his hand. This hand is okay. It's not the fastest hand in the world, but it has some interaction, and it has the ability to get some more things, so I'm going to keep it. But we'll see if it's good enough. Alright, so Mountain Pass from my opponent. Oh, Opt off the top is decent. It's pretty decent. So yeah, I'll hold up Opt instead of holding up Swords here, which I couldn't hold up anyway. It's just more that I could play Swords next turn. Alright, Grimlawmancer. Sure, that's not a particularly scary card anyway. Brightling is good, so I'm going to keep that on top and draw it. Cool, let's play a Plains and Fire Diamond. Legion Warboss. Alright. Take 2. Well, Kenrith is a card that can win us the game. I'm going to go ahead and cast Compulsive Research. 1, 2, 3. I'll discard an island, and I will Swords this Legion Warboss. Oof, that's rough. Okay, so we take 3, 6, 7, 8. Ow. Alright. It's pretty brutal. We could play Humility here, but my fear with that is that we just end up still taking damage each turn from those creatures, and then and we just die to burn. Sorry, I was struggling to think of the words there, but yeah. Oh, okay, so we know we're not drawing, yeah, we know we're not drawing our Banishing Light anytime soon, so we just lose there. Is there anything else that we could, I mean, Delay is attractive, but I think overall our list is fine as it is. This is a good hand. We have turn 2 Mana Rock. We've got some top deck selection with the Owl. We have Brightling, and we have Fumigate. So pretty much all of our good anti-aggro cards are in this hand. So I'm feeling kind of confident about it. Let's lead off with a Guildgate, basically. Pretty easy diamond. Nice Whisper. Alright, so a slower start from our opponent. It seems like he's on like a mid-rangey red-black list. So we're kind of against 2 mid-range lists, more or less, I would say. I shouldn't have played the island there if I wanted to play Brightling, but that's okay. I can play the Spiral and be happy about it. O-Ring and Bolus's Clutches fetch. So we want to put
O-Ring and Flooded Strand on top, because I don't really need Jace or Impulse Clutches, so I would like to shuffle those away if possible. Frostodon, sure. Do I just want to O-Ring that, or no? I think we can just play Brightling and then hold it up as a blocker. We give it -1/+1 to double block the Ferocidon, and then it survives and we're okay, which is fine. And if he has like removal, then we've 2-for-1'd him and we've gained like 6 life, which is pretty good. Yeah, I'd rather do that. That's a more proactive play, and then we can have O-Ring up for the bigger things like his Glorybringer or Skargan Hellkite that we saw in game 1. My opponent is thinking. Says Brightling seems really good. Which is true, Brightling is very good. It's one of those cards, so we passed up the Aether Sphere Harvester because we didn't have a lot of creatures. So animating is actually hard. And we picked up Brightling, which is very similar in effect, but doesn't require another creature. So, so I put in place Hellrider. They don't attack, which seems really weird. So I'm just going to bounce my Brightling to my hand now, and then I can cast Fumigate next turn. And I actually don't know if I want to fetch, because now we're at the point where if he's got a bigger creature to follow up, we can Inbolus's Clutches it, which is much superior to not Inbolus's Clutches in things. I think it's dependent upon what he plays. So if he doesn't play something scary, that's not very scary. But he's also stuck on 4 mana, so if he gets to 5 mana, I can expect something bigger. I think it's fine to still just hold off. Like, what does it hurt to not shuffle there? Not really anything. I think that Impulse Clutches is a strong enough card to warrant not shuffling and drawing it. Okay, we take 2. Okay, Sulfuric Vortex. We have the O-Ring for that this time, which is excellent. So, we can still gain life. I still want to have this Jace, though, so I want to actually draw that. Now we can shuffle, because we don't know what else is there. So we want to have as much white mana up as we can so that we can activate Brightling frequently. So like here we want to give it Vigilance and Lifelink, swing. Alright, we go up to 20. There's his 5th mana, so let's see what he's got. Skargan Hellkite. That's a great thing to steal. We have 7 mana too, so we can steal it and hold up a Brightling Bounce. Okay. 4 spike. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Clutches. Gimme, gimme. Alright, we still swing with Brightling here since we're ahead on life. Yeah, we're pretty far ahead now with 8 damage next turn coming in. We're at the point where he's got a chump block or have removal. Swellstring Suns. I'm just going to go ahead and flicker my Brightling to my hand. I think it's more valuable than the 5/5 in that it's able to gain me life, it's able to dodge removal, which is a really powerful card, and you know, if he's got a second card to kill the 5/5, then he's effectively, you know, in Bolus's Clutch is effectively 3 for 1 to him. So I'm okay with Brightling living and Skargan Hellkite dying. And of course, Brightling, you know, is doing an incredible amount of work here. It's just really hard for his deck to answer. I should have actually tapped an island there, but it's okay. I'm just going to go Jace, because really the only thing we want to hold up here is Plains. If he's got to cast 2 spells to kill Brightling, and he goes down to 1 or 2 cards in hand, I think we're pretty much winning this game every time anyway. So I'm going to 4-spike that. Whoops, not opt. 4-spike. Alright, so we remove a counter, we draw a card, and then we're going to buff Brightling 3 times and give it lifelink. Sorry, 2 times. 2 times to give it lifelink. So it goes to 5/1. That way, next turn, if he does nothing, we can just still win with our Brightling, and that's kind of where I wanted to be. So I think we go to our second main, we play our Sky Diamond. And then we can hold up Opt and flicker the Brightling if we need to, which isn't really a flicker, sorry, like a bounce Brightling to hand type deal if we need to. So yeah. Alright, this is actually fine, and he can draw 3 cards for me personally, and then I'll just Will Kenrith his guy, which seems decent. That goes to the bottom. Oh, look, another one. And another one. Just lands for days. Let's just sacrifice this guy. We don't need Jace Belrin. Sage Owl. Sure. We can go... Doesn't really matter which land, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No. We want to tap mostly blue lands for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure. Make your guy a 0/3. I'll move to combat. That's a clear chump block, because if he doesn't block, I just pump it. And I'll play Sage Owl. Preordain on top, so we can draw through that stuff. Fiery Confluence. Alright, I'm just going to bounce my Brightling to my hand. Sure. We'll lead with Preordain. Bottom, bottom. Okay. Now let's set the counters to 4 for this guy. Draw 2. Okay, negate is great. 1, 2, 3, Brightling, and we hold up negate. That's fine, that's so slow. Alright, so we win that in 3. It doesn't look like we're going to get around 3, so let's head into our wrap-up. So, the wrap-up here, unfortunately, our round 1 was kind of decided by that brainstorm mistake. Thankfully, I messed up another brainstorm later where I put 3 back and an opt where I just scried 1 and didn't draw. So, yeah, play mistakes definitely happen, especially when you're tired, as I was when I recorded this. But that's no excuse, and I want to hold myself to a higher standard of gameplay, especially in these videos. With that said, I think that really the MVP of this deck were the 2 CMC Mana Rocks. Each game I was able to get out big threats pretty early, stabilize with things like Will Kenrith or Elspeth, or even just a Fumigate. I think they made a big difference in the way the deck played out. I thought that overall the games were pretty interesting, in that there was a lot of back and forth. There wasn't any game where it was just a clear blowout, except for on the opposing end, right, where the aggro deck just stomped me. I had nothing in the top few cards that I was going to draw into. But overall, I felt like the deck felt pretty good. The gameplay felt pretty good. But I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. If you guys have any feedback other than telling me that I accidentally drew an extra card, please let me know in the comment section below, or in personal messages on Discord. With that, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.